This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig, and alongside me, back from his 2-week vacation there, is none other than the PC muscle race himself, LeRon Dawkins.
What's poppin'?
Hi, LeRon. It's good to see you.
Corey, it's good to see you.
We matched. We texted before the show, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We had
to coordinate the outfits. Wonder Twins, buddy. Wonder Twins.
Yeah. Best friends. So no Stephanie tonight, but we have a trio of guests that are varying degrees of importance and fan favorites, we'll say. First off, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Kiel.
Hello.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi. Doing well. Yourself?
Great. How's dad life?
Exhausting, but awesome.
Yeah. Been there. Still there.
Yeah.
My daughter's actually singing to my wife right now. I can hear her through my headphones. So
Awesome.
It's a thing. Sorry, Matt, you didn't get top billing this episode.
I don't deserve it. I never deserve it.
I know, but sometimes we have to because you're the only one that's not here all the time. Also joining us, fan favorite, I'll say. From GameRant, Mr. Greysun Morales. Hello, sir.
Hello. Happy to be here. And thank you for taking me out of my Tears of the Kingdom hell, I guess you would say, because I've just been editing and writing a lot of Zelda guides the past 2 weeks. So it's been crazy.
How's that going?
It's been fun. I get to write Zelda guides for work, so I can't really complain, but I'm excited to talk about Tears of the Kingdom because I haven't really gotten a chance to speak out loud about it to other Zelda people. I've only been able to tweet about it, and then that's pretty much it. So I'm excited to talk about it today.
I feel like every show I've been on the last 2 weeks, I have all we've talked about is Zelda, including the Destiny podcast that I host. We've literally because until today there's been zero Destiny news or anything really happening, right? Mm-hmm. So we're just hey, Zelda came out, we should talk about that, and so we did. We definitely lost a few listeners the last couple of weeks. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's all good.
It's Zelda
They'll be
time.
back. Yeah. Speaking of Zelda time, everybody, we have a very special guest from Zelda Universe. Very, very glad to welcome Jess Rappaport to the show. Hello.
Hi there. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, this is exciting. You were, after PAX, actually, a few Boss Rush members requested that you come on, so I reached out, and you are gracing us with your presence. Why don't you, for people who don't know who you are, tell people who you are, what you do, why Zelda Universe is so cool.
Sure. So I'm Jess Rappaport. I am the owner of Zelda Universe, which is the world's largest Legend of Zelda fan community. And it has places on pretty much every social media platform you can imagine, as well as a massive message board. And it's, taken over the better part of my life since I was, only 14 years old in 2004, 2005, running this website up until now. So this is one of the oldest communities, and nowadays it really is the home of the Zelda fan community. Most recently we've launched some new sites like Zelda Maps, which has Tears of the Kingdom maps out now, which is so cool. We were one of the leaders in actually data mining the game and being able to extract map data from it and provide that for people. So that's a really cool project that's pretty recent that we've done. But we're Zelda Universe being at the hub of the Zelda fan community has been one of the most amazing parts of the most amazing part of my life. So I'm really lucky to be able to be a part of this community, and hopefully I can share some of that excitement and joy with you guys.
That's cool. Let's see. 2004. What was the Zelda game out then? What, Minish Cap?
Wind
Maybe?
Waker.
Yeah, I was gonna say Wind Waker,
Well,
yeah.
2000, I guess one was Wind Waker. I didn't play it until 2003, and the next major Zelda game wasn't until Twilight Princess in 2006. So when I came on to Zelda Universe, I actually joined as a member. I didn't just start out owning it. It was bequeathed to me by the actual founder, who was my friend Lars, who lives in Norway, and he wanted to go to college and didn't have time to run the site anymore. And I wasn't in college yet, and I had infinite time. So I took over the site, and then I just ended up running it through college and even today, well after college. So yeah, it was Twilight Princess was coming out not until 2006. So when I joined, people were still not super thrilled about the cell shaded design of the Wind Waker. Like they called it Zelda as like a derogatory.
I remember that.
Yeah,
And they were all
I say
wrong.
Zelda, and you get the flashbacks.
That is one of the best Legend of Zelda games I have ever played.
Right?
To be fair, again, I was one of those people who was really upset about the cell shaded. But to be fair, Space World, they showed like the evolution of the Ocarina of Time art style, and everybody thought that's what was coming next. And they showed this little cartoony Link running around the island, like, doing whatever, and people were mad. But then, hold on. But when you actually play the game and see how amazing it is, then you just kind of forget, and that it's a really cool Zelda, and it's a top 5 Zelda for me. See, I brought it back around.
You can
taste the salt in the
You can hear the record scratch, like in his explanation.
A top 5 Zelda. I think like there's like 6 or 7 console Zeldas
ever, but
I'm just saying. Okay.
They definitely did not set expectations properly, but I'm pretty sure they also didn't know what it was going to look like when they made that demo.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, they did that for Breath of the Wild too, though, with that Wii U tech demo.
They had the Wii U tech demo, which looked like Twilight Princess, but they were also they learned from their mistake, and they were very clear that this is not the next Zelda game. This is like a Twilight Princess. We're not even doing Twilight Princess HD. This is just a tech demo. This is for funsies. It's a lighting demo. You can change the time of day or whatever coming through the window. So they managed expectations, and also by then, the opinion on Wind Waker's design had really flip-flopped, and I think they felt like they had the leeway to lean into that style for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, especially because you look at when Twilight Princess was announced, and everybody was excited because we were finally getting that, that style that they were kind of showing off at Space World. And then a lot of people were actually disappointed in Twilight Princess, which I'm like, it's the best Zelda, guys. You guys are all wrong. But, it's I will defend Twilight Princess forever. And the HD version, chef's kiss. You know what I mean? It's just amazing.
Nintendo needs to come the fuck up off of that and put it on the Switch. I swear.
Look, man, just because you didn't own any of the consoles that those amazing games were on.
I had a GameCube, but I called myself saying, you know what? I'm gonna get the Wii version.
That's the wrong version.
Yeah, I never got the Wii version, unfortunately, because by the time that game came out, I was kind of mad at my Nintendo Wii. So yeah, I was kind of already like, I'm not buying any more games for this damn system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He was tired of that Monster Hunter Tri-Life.
Yeah. Thank you. You understand perfectly. Capcom and Nintendo had one job, and they dropped it at the 1 yard line.
Did not like the underwater combat.
The underwater combat was, underwater combat was, but it was just, it was just. Monster Hunter games are filler, and there was no filler.
Yeah.
When this become a Monster Hunter podcast, this is a mistake having you two on the show at the same time. This was
Hey Matt, whenever you want, come on Crossroads. We'll have a good time.
Okay, I'll do
it. Jess, we have quite a few questions for you from our Discord.
Let's do it. Let's go for it.
I mean, I guess they're kind of for everybody, but they're mostly for you because we advertised that you're coming on the show. So, the one true James, he asks, what is your Zelda hot take that gets everyone to break out the torches and pitchforks?
Ooh, I want to hear this.
I admit it. I like them. I like the motion controls in Skyward Sword. I really like them a lot. And I honestly think that the Breath of the Wild combat is a huge step backwards.
Ooh.
Well, Jess, it's been nice having you on the show.
So
just hit the X and the tab, and we'll see.
I totally agree with you because when Skyward Sword came out, I thought the controls were like perfectly fine. Where I had no issues with the swinging and stuff. Like I thought it was so much fun. And then people were like, "Oh, I'm waggling." I'm like, maybe because you're waggling, it's fucking up, and you're not playing it right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But all of a sudden, you can cheese anything in Breath of the Wild, and people are like, "Hail cheese! Everyone can cheese now." You know, I've been waggling for years.
Yeah,
cheesing.
Everybody
wants Sword.
As everybody wants an easy mode. Everybody wants one.
It's true.
So
it's true.
And when there's not a perceived easy thing to do to get through everything, everyone gets angry. Now, I will say for my part in the Skyward Sword motion controls dislike, I think the way I played that game did that game a disservice. Like, I didn't like Skyward Sword, I think mainly because I was trying to just get through it. I just brute forced my way through it and then returned it. I think if I would have sat back, taken my time, because I had a similar thing with Tears of the Kingdom at the very beginning. I was like, what am I even doing here? But then I took a breath and started to try and figure things out, set with it, and really absorb it. If I had done that with Skyward Sword, I'd probably like it a lot more. I do have a long-term plan to go back to it. I haven't done it yet, though.
Yeah, I actually, when it came to the Switch, I actually tried to give it another shot. And I played through... I got farther than I did on the Wii. But I still just... I fell off because I went back to Link's Awakening. So, Link's Awakening is also top tier. But
yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, Skyward Sword, man. That's
my hot take. I love Skyward Sword. It has a very special place in my heart. Like, I think, my opinions on it in general have changed over the years. I used to be super, super hype on it. Even though now I still love the controls, there's a lot about it otherwise that I'm actually way less hype on nowadays. But I think there's an equal amount of stuff that, I could say about Breath of the Wild. And even now, 80 odd hours into Tears of the Kingdom, there's stuff I can say about Tears of the Kingdom too. That, none of these games are perfect, but a lot of the things in them are. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, my hot take is that Twilight Princess, I think, is the best traditional 3D Zelda. Like, that's my hot take, and people get on me for that all the time. So
those dungeons,
I know.
So good.
It's got the dungeons, and it really, I think Skyward Sword's got Ancient Cistern, which is definitely great, but Twilight Princess, it's just hit after hit after hit. You've got the Snow Peak ruin. Snow Peak, is it ruins?
No Point.
Snow Peak.
Snow Peak Point, I think.
I don't know. Mansion. The mansion.
Something.
The point is the mansion. That's the best.
Yeah,
I love that with Blizzaga as the boss.
The soup.
Then you get to snowboard down the hill.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
So,
even the water temple is not that. I remember it being difficult, but it wasn't frustrating. It was just I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, none of the temples in Twilight Princess are frustrating that I
yeah, it's more the filler, and I know a lot of people kind of bag on the beginning of the game, for
once you
taking
get
too
past
long.
once you get past it though, it's like
Meanwhile, Tears of the Kingdom returning in full Zelda form with the 2-hour like mandatory intro sequence. People eating it up, loving the 2-hour like greatest intro of all time.
Yeah.
It's a full on Twilight Princess level intro.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is. So everybody who likes Tears of the Kingdom, find yourself a GameCube or a Wii U and play Twilight Princess, and you'll be happy.
That's true, actually. I actually do think people who like Tears of the Kingdom would really love Twilight Princess.
Yeah, it has that same like aesthetic too, like with the green swirly stuff, and
Yeah, very technological. Like,
yeah. All right, let's get back to these questions because I could talk about Twilight Princess for the next 3 hours, and I know nobody really wants to hear that, except maybe Jess. I would talk to you about it, but it's fine.
I could definitely talk about.
I'll
Twilight
listen
Princess
and
for
join in
hours.
because I think I love your love for Twilight Princess, Corey. I've always said that.
I know, but you've heard me talk about Twilight Princess for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like 7 years at this point.
9.
Twilight-
actually.
Twilight Princess was the game that I played after the Wind Waker, which makes it my second favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. MH Norris, she has 3 questions actually. She says, "What was your first Zelda game?" So what? Wind Waker?
We can go one at a time. Okay.
Oh,
Wind Waker. No, Wind Waker wasn't my first Zelda game, but it was the first one I ever beat. My very first Zelda game was actually Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, like the original Game Boy.
yeah.
That was mine too.
That I got when a kid at summer camp wanted to listen to my CD collection for the day because this was the late 90s. So that's what you did when you wanted to hear music is you had to get a CDs or a cassette tapes. Anyways,
please stop explaining old technology to our listeners because I'm going to feel really old soon.
Do you want to talk about vinyl?
And in the past they had these rectangles that you plugged them in over this like the USB used to be rectangular. Anyways, but now I actually lost my train of thought. But this kid at summer camp said that he would give me either Pokemon Red or Link's Awakening in exchange for letting him borrow my CD collection for the day. And obviously I'm like, yeah, free game. I'm going to take the game. I already had Pokemon Red, so I took Link's Awakening and I proceeded to not beat it for like 10 years because I'm horrendously bad at 2D Zelda games. That's my secret shame is that I'm really bad at them. I didn't beat Link's Awakening until like 2010. So, but fair. I do love it.
If it makes you feel better, I'm on the last dungeon on the Switch version of Link's Awakening. I just stopped playing it because the guide I was using was like pretty broken. So Greysun said he was going to write me one. And I'm still waiting for his.
Tears of the Kingdom came out, so I had to be pushed aside.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm the complete opposite. Like 2D Zelda is my jam. Like I have the hardest time with like the I call it the new style of Zelda. Even that new style has been around since when did Nintendo 64 come out?
Ocarina.
Yeah, 1998 is
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm one of those. I would die on that hill. Like Ocarina of Time and its ilk. That's all a bad dream. We're gonna wake up.
You refuse to wake up from apparently.
That's my other hot take. But also, I had a terrible experience with Ocarina of Time, so maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time not in my top 5. Honestly.
Yes, thank you. Oh,
yeah.
Most overrated Zelda. I'll say it.
It's in my top 5 most hated Nintendo games.
It's in my top 5 games with a legacy.
What was your first Zelda game, LeRon?
My first Zelda? The original Legend of Zelda. OG. Yeah. No, I'm old. Like I had Nintendo NES. Nintendo
I feel like if you grew up with that first generation of Zeldas, then your GOAT is A Link to the Past, and then it kind of stopped there.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
It's the Mario 3, Mario World, Mario 64 debate, right? Like that's
No. I love Mario 64. I love it.
Oh,
I love it.
I'm saying like
But
if
then-
you were an NES person, Mario 3 is your favorite. If you're a Super Nintendo person, Mario
Oh,
World's your
yeah.
favorite. And then if
Did you-
you're an N64 person, so sorry, Jess.
Did
go
you
ahead.
play A Link Between Worlds?
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, that's the only reason why my 3DS is still plugged up on a charger.
It was literally
that-
made for you. Like you're
Well, that and
the
Samus
you're the
Returns.
target demo.
Yeah.
Yep. Grayson, did you say what your first Zelda was?
I think I know we had a Nintendo 64, so I definitely played a little bit of Ocarina of Time back then, but I don't think I finished it as a kid. But Link's Awakening was the one that was my game. I had on my Game Boy as well. I don't remember if I finished it either. Like I don't think I finished it until the Switch remake came out actually, which I loved, like absolutely adored. But yeah, that game has like a special place in my heart. Going back to Ocarina of Time is very, very difficult. Or like I've tried going back to it when it came out on the Wii and stuff, and I just never finished it. Like it's super obtuse, you know. Like you really have to use a walkthrough to get through that game, and it just doesn't feel that good. And it's definitely like not in my top 5, like some of you said. Which is probably like a hot take, but it's just there's so many just good Zelda games that I would rather play before that one. But Link's Awakening is like probably that first really deep Zelda experience for me.
Yeah.
Link's
Awakening is the Game Boy version is one of 2 Game Boy games I have complete inbox that I will never get rid of. So
nice.
Matt, did you say your first Zelda game?
I did say it. My first Zelda was the original Legend of Zelda. I got it for my 7th birthday, and I snuck away from opening the rest of my gifts to actually play it, and I got in trouble. But that was my favorite Zelda until Breath of the Wild.
Oh wow!
I think 2 is underrated.
I think 2 is underrated also. I think people just basically shit on 2 because like it's hard and it was also a different experience. It was a different experience than what they were used to.
It was like that Castlevania, I think Simon's Quest or whatever, where it was just so much different. It was so different. Yeah. But I think that the people who say like Ocarina is the best either never played A Link to the Past, or did not, or for some reason they did not play Link to the Past, because Ocarina is just A Link to the Past in 3D, and it doesn't work, funnily enough. But yeah, the first Zelda game, the experience I had playing that was my favorite experience playing a game ever, because I took the map to school every day. My buddies and I were like, "Did you go here yet? Did you go here yet?" I marked that thing up, and when I think I saved up money to buy a second copy specifically so I could get a clean map. Because
it's so interesting that the things that you like love so much about it are the things that are basically only possible pre like internet era.
And like that doesn't make it like the best Zelda or anything, because I think you could have that discussion, but
I think that kind of answers your question almost of why didn't people go back and play it. I think the experience of playing those games today is fundamentally different.
Yeah, because the design is not. It's worse clean design. It's not clean design at all.
Like you don't get that sense of exploration. Like that's why a game like Breath of the Wild has to exist in today's age, because there has to be so much content that the internet can't just immediately find it all, even though we do, and then we put it in a map. But you know, it still has stuff to discover, and that's what the internet is kind of engaging in right now, is this whole process of everyone discovering everything, and that being what makes Zelda great. And I think like A Link to the Past and the older games, they're just too well documented at this point. Like they're too known. There's no mystery to them at all. And that's that's definitely a shame. I don't know if it's even possible for someone to go into a game like A Link to the Past blind anymore. Like I certainly never could. The moment I picked up the game, someone who had played it on the Super Nintendo was like just ready to beat the whole thing for me and tell me where everything was. And that was in my childhood. Nowadays it's so accessible. I don't even have to wait for someone to tell me.
Right.
Yo, just one thing real quick before we move on to the next question. Matt, remember that sense of mind blown when you restarted The Legend of Zelda after you beat it, and like all the dungeons
Everything was
and stuff,
different. Yeah.
it was different. You couldn't get out the woods, the lost woods, like, the same way.
Wait a minute, what? Why? Who flipped the map upside down? Why are we doing this?
And there was no resource to like go to. Like Nintendo Power did not put anything out for the second quest.
Nintendo Power did not give a fuck about where you were. They're like, figure it out, bud.
I remember going to Dungeon 1 and this shit's at Dungeon 4 and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It was in the same spot, but it was not the right dungeon. I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are old.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you about arthritis.
Before dungeons had names.
Yeah.
Before dungeons had names, yeah. When did they start getting names? That wasn't Link to the Past. When did they get names?
Probably Ocarina, or maybe one of the Game Boy ones.
No, Link to the Past had names.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay. Well, I just went to like the whatever dungeon was in whatever order. Like it's crazy that I have it like it's muscle memory in my brain. Like I know where to go. Like throw that damn fish back in the damn puddle of water, and it'll give you like 20 rupees.
All right, our next question is what drew you to the franchise? I mean, I don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
I mean, it was really the Wind Waker was, not just the first game that I beat, but all the expressiveness that was built into the art style really just inspired me to love the series. I don't know how else to put it. Like I fell in love with how alive the world was, and that just led me to want to talk about it nonstop. Everything that was happening in the game, like I loved. There are actually so many things that were in the game that got removed in Twilight Princess that made me really upset about Twilight Princess, like the way Link's eyes will move to see like stuff that's going on nearby. Like they removed that in Twilight Princess, and it was little like expressive details like that, and in the character design, and just loving the character designs and loving the emotion that was put into the story that really got me into the series. I think that's another point, is that Wind Waker had a really good story, and it really pulled me in and got me emotionally invested. And for that reason, that's why I tend to really love Skyward Sword, is because I like the Zeldas with strong stories. That's why I like Tears of the Kingdom more than Breath of the Wild. It's because it has a stronger story. And so I think like across the board, the Zelda games with stronger stories are the ones that I rank way, way higher. And they're the ones that got me into the franchise in the first place.
I definitely feel you on that one, because like the stronger the story, that's kind of why like Link to the Past, Link's Awakening and stuff like that, just have like this resounding like place in my heart, and of course Wind Waker. Wind Waker had so much lore. Like it was funny. It was almost like it pieced together a lot of the stuff that I kind of just overlooked from Ocarina and Majora's Mask, because like I just refused to play those games.
Oh man, Majora's Mask so good.
Majora's Mask is really good.
Was it?
Yeah, it really was.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't really played it in like 20 years, but it was a fun weekend. I rented it and I beat it, and then I brought it. I went and bought it and played it a little bit again, and then I just never touched it again.
I liked it more than Ocarina personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then when was it the Wii U version or something came out where it had like a Master Quest, and you could get that on the Wii, I believe.
Well,
like,
Ocarina of Time had Master Quest on GameCube.
Okay, maybe so. And then there was something with Majora's. I remember having it.
There was a Majora's Mask 3DS re-release where apparently they changed a lot of things. I actually never finished it, but they changed a lot of things, and that made people really upset. They changed all the boss fights.
Maybe I just had maybe it was just a dual pack.
There's also this like special collector's disc on GameCube that had Majora's Mask and like Ocarina of Time and stuff.
That might
Did it
be
have
what
Majora's Mask on it? Or
That
was it
might
just,
be what
I thought
I
it was
had
just
on.
Master Quest.
Because I remember playing it two
there
separate times on
there
different
was there was
platforms.
two. There was the Ocarina of Time Master Quest, which came with Ocarina of Time Normal and Ocarina of Time Master Quest, and then there was the collector's disc that came in a silver, like it was the art was silver, and it came with Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, and everybody was so
That was
mad because it
sick.
didn't.
What?
Everybody was so mad because it didn't come with a Link to the Past, and that's because like 6
I'm
months
looking
later
this up.
they released a Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance, and they wanted you to buy the Game Boy player to play it on the GameCube. So,
That's how they get you. It's called
I know.
capitalism, son.
Am
By
I
the way-
crazy? Did I never see this?
it was like a pre-order.
I think I got it
bonus,
for pre-ordering Wind Waker.
I think.
No, I
Yeah,
thought that
same
was
thing.
the Master Quest disc. This is like rewriting history for me.
No, you know what it was? It was a Nintendo Power
I don't know how I
mail-in
got it.
order exclusive. Was like one of them was a pre-order for Majora's or for Wind Waker, and one of them was a mail-in for Nintendo Power. And those were the ways that you got it, but I don't remember which one was which.
Yeah, all I
And-
know is
and-
I got the Master Quest disc bundled with the Wind Waker when I bought it. It wasn't even a pre-order thing. By that point, they had just bundled the two discs together, and you got both when you bought the game.
That's a lucky bundle.
I think
Yeah,
market
great
they
bundle.
could have marketed this better, saving us all of this discussion if they just called it Zelda All Stars.
They could have, but they didn't.
They could have. Missed opportunity. Time travel will be invented for a reason. And this is
It's
it.
true. Yep. To go
The
back and buy all
only
the
good
games that
that
are
will
rare.
come from it is
No.
Zelda All Stars.
No, what the time
Finally,
travel
we
for
can
me?
have it.
The time travel for me is to go back to Toys R Us and buy like every single copy of Earthbound that was sitting in the $10
Oh
bin.
my god.
Oh, jeez, remember that?
So
I
that
do
they
remember
release
that.
Mother. So that they eventually release Mother 3 in the US.
Oh man,
So,
another Nintendo hot take: Earthbound
That-
overrated.
Tears of Reggie.
like, there's so,
Oh.
there's so much questionable stuff in Mother 3. Like, I've
There
never
is. No, it's anyone who's even
bad.
looked at it for 15 minutes, it's incredibly clear why they can never ever release it in the US. Like it's
Nintendo knows
just
what
would
they're
not-
doing with that.
it's not going to happen.
No.
Like people who think it needs to come out in the US have not looked at the content in the game.
Did you see it? Did you see the tweet that Reggie sent out on Mother's Day?
I did.
It was literally
I
just
love
like
it.
this art of Mother 3. So good.
Love it.
Love them.
I mean, they could like alter the game, I guess, but I don't think they would ever do that. I think
They're not
people would
gonna
be
do that.
pissed. I think people would be really mad
Yeah,
if they like cut things out of the game.
yeah. Oh man, good times.
Yeah, you'll have so many Nintendo fans going, "This Nintendo went woke. What the hell?"
Yeah, gotta watch out for that woke Nintendo.
Oh, God.
People don't get me
So
started.
woke.
Yeah, please don't.
It's just I have to tell you something off air, Matt.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
I mean, you guys can all hear, but it's what. All right. So what keeps you coming back to Zelda? I mean, for me, it's. I mean, for me, it's just the Link and the characters, and every single version of Zelda keeps getting better. Like I loved Zelda and Twilight Princess, but I actually think that up until this point, like the best version of Zelda was Skyward Sword. Like, even though I didn't care for the game, I thought the story, Skyward Sword to me still has the best Zelda story in my opinion. Just Link and Zelda's relationship and just how it kind of evolves, and I love. That's the reason why I would stick with Skyward Sword, is because that story is so good. Of course, I haven't beat Tears of the Kingdom yet. Could be better. Doubt it. Could be, but for me,
It's
just
definitely.
the world.
I feel like it's on the level. I feel like it's getting so far. What I've experienced is that it's at least on the level. They've got the cinematography in there too, which Skyward Sword had some really great cinematography. Like
Yeah, the
I'm
opening.
hopeful. haven't completed the story yet, but if they stick the landing, boy will I be happy. If they don't, I'm going to be furious.
For me, I think it's like
Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead, Greysun.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, just in general, I think there's like no other series out there that feels so it doesn't feel as rewarding. It feels so rewarding whenever you do anything, like completing a puzzle in a dungeon, or like just hearing that iconic Zelda jingle whenever you do anything. It's like such a nice feeling, and they do such a good job of making you feel so smart whenever you're doing anything, like solving any puzzles. Like, and I can't think of any other game that does that. That just has the most inventive, genius design and that type of stuff. The dungeon designs, and like even though the temples and Tears of the Kingdom aren't like the traditional dungeons, I think they still do a good job of making you feel just really satisfied whenever you figure something out. And just like the way they just give you everything you need without telling you what to do, sort of, and just like, here, we're not going to tell you what to do, but we're going to give you what you need, and you can kind of figure out your own way. It's just like such a genius design, and I think that's what really draws me. Like every time you just start a dungeon, you're just like, all right, I'm in this. Like, I can't wait to solve it and get out and get that heart container and fight a really cool boss. You know, it's just like, just feels so rewarding. And I think the story stuff kind of comes second to me, whereas I'm not really so focused on it. But I really hope that Tears of the Kingdom story delivers, because so far I haven't really seen that many cutscenes, like the memories. But I think it's going to be good from what I've heard. So I'm excited to see like where it keeps going. But yeah, it's more like mostly the puzzles for me and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of like, especially in Tears of the Kingdom, my initial thought was like, I'm gonna beeline the story, and then just do all the exploring after. But then I just keep getting sidetracked, and then I'm just like, I'm getting lost. But I actually like, and we could talk about this when we talk about Tears of the Kingdom, but I actually think Tears of the Kingdom feels more like a traditional Zelda than Breath of the Wild ever did in a lot of ways. Especially with like actually giving you some sort of like direction to go, right? I feel like one of the things in Breath of the Wild, still an amazing game, I just feel like initially I felt like I didn't really know where to go or how to progress through the game, and Tears of the Kingdom does a lot better job of doing that, giving you like the, go check out the phenomenon, and then
more recommendations, I guess.
Yes. Thank you, Greysun.
Yeah.
LeRon, Matt, you gotta answer for this.
I think what it keeps me coming back to the series, that's the question we're on, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What keeps me coming back to the series has definitely changed over time. I think for the longest time I was chasing that Zelda 1 experience. I would slowly realize that the games ended up not being that. So eventually I would try and hang my hat on something else. And I think I said this on our podcast that we had at the time, Corey, that I was not excited for Breath of the Wild. Like at that point, I was pretty sure my relationship with Zelda was done. And then I believe I heard Austin Walker talk about it, I think he was at Waypoint at that point in time. And I was, by what he said, I'm like, okay, I can't not check this game out. And then when I realized that Breath of the Wild gave me that first like Zelda 1 experience since Zelda 1, like I didn't have a lot of people in my life at the time that were playing it, because most of the people that I played games with or talked with thought Nintendo was a dumb idea anymore.
I mean, especially during the Wii U era, or even towards the end of the Wii into the Wii U era, I think a lot of people were like that. I mean,
sure, no, 100%.
And
but
I
then,
think,
like,
sorry,
all of those people have played Breath of the Wild and think it's like one of the best games ever now. And what brought me to Tears of the Kingdom was specifically more of that. And I think that in some ways it builds very well on Breath of the Wild. In some ways it does not. But I've also played it for 60 hours. I've beat one of the major bosses and found exactly one story cutscene. That's mainly because anytime I decide to go anywhere, I end up taking a left or a right and ending way off track. And it's like that Tom Waits song, Get Lost. Like, why don't we go and get lost? Like, that's why I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. I want to go somewhere and just get lost and see what kind of shenanigans I can get into, see if I can get past that Lionel without making it mad, things like that.
Impossible.
Yeah, no, they get real mad real fast. They're like Rajang with dexterity. It's crazy. But it's yeah, I play these games now to get lost in them, and hopefully there's some semblance of that continues in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, my answer is very similar to Matt's. Like, what keeps me coming back to Zelda is the actual sense of adventure and stuff like that. And whenever I'm playing a new Zelda game and like there's deep lore and stuff like that, like it definitely like engrosses me and stuff like that and makes me actually want to continue playing the game and stuff like that. Like, I love discovering lore in most games I play. So it's one of those things where like I will wind up wasting all this time just trying to like get all these plot threads and these strings and these stories all worked out and everything before I beat the game and stuff like that. And then I have that conundrum to where I realize, oh, I'm about to beat the game, but I'm not done playing. Like, what do I do and stuff like that? So yeah, it's the adventure for me that keeps me coming back to these other games. Even though like you guys have heard on like almost all these episodes, like like I always have like some bone to pick with like the Legend of Zelda series as a whole, but it's not as bad as the Kingdom Hearts series, but
Kingdom
said,
Hearts isn't that bad.
That being said, I keep coming back and playing them.
LeRon took a breath and chose not to engage.
I know.
I'm proud of you, LeRon. I'm proud of you.
It's like I'm not choosing violence tonight. I'm not.
You say that stuff on Crossroads, though, we having words.
For real.
Well, it's fine. All right. So, oh no, I closed the Discord window on accident. Oh no, it's fine. Zelda, good. It's fun. Link wears pants. The one. Our next question.
Not all the time in Breath of the Wild.
Not my Link.
Did you know that if you go to Pyrrha and you aren't wearing any clothes, she says laundry day, huh?
Oh my god, I did not know that.
Amazing.
I knew there was a reaction, but I didn't know what she said.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That's kind of perfect, actually.
Beautiful.
What? Yeah, I know, it's so good. What Zelda game do you wish more people played?
Minish Cap.
Yeah, Minish Cap.
Oh yes.
Minish Cap.
And
Spirit Tracks too. But Minish Cap.
Those DS
I don't know about Spirit Tracks. I don't know about that one.
Spirit Tracks is way better than Phantom Hourglass, at least. Like
Phantom Hourglass is my worst Zelda game. Like that hits my that's below F tier for me. It's hot garbage.
That's Triforce That's Triforce Heroes for me. F tier, right there.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Honestly, never even actually played it.
Oh,
like I've never played it.
It sounds like you're saving yourself from something.
I'll raise my hand here. Any of the handheld versions, I've only seen playthroughs because I've never actually owned the handhelds. So, like, I didn't actually play Link's Awakening until it came out on Switch. Minish Cap was the most fun of the handheld ones to watch. I do plan on playing it on, what is it? Game Boy Advance Online or whatever it is on Switch. But the one I did not like was, I did not care for Four Swords.
Really? Four Swords is impossible to like actually play. You have to have I guess, is it out on Nintendo Switch Online now?
I have no idea.
No,
I don't think
I've only
so.
seen-
No, I
I've
don't know
only
how
seen
you would
it.
play. Yeah, it's not.
I've only
It's
seen
not.
it. So
So
They put a
yeah,
version
like-
out on the DSiWare. I think you can play by yourself. I don't remember.
Yeah, there was a Four Swords like anniversary edition on the 3DS as well.
Mhm.
Like you needed to have other people like with a special link cable or like with a copy
Yeah.
of the game. Like you had to have multiple. It was just impossible. No one had the game. It was impossible to play. I never even had the opportunity when I had like the original Four Swords with a Link to the Past on Game Boy. Nobody else had the game. There was no way to play Four Swords.
Yeah, those multiplayer Zelda games can just they can go away.
That is true. Like,
tried.
Nintendo made it really hard to play. To want to play those games.
Yeah, my
I really wanted to. It had a Wind Waker art style, and I was obsessed.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my speaking of Wind Waker, that would be my pick just because it's stuck on 2 consoles that nobody bought, and I really think that game deserves to be played.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, look, people like the GameCube now, but it only sold like 20 million units, right? And you know, we all love Zelda, but like Zelda wasn't exactly a hot ticket item. You know, I think I think Metroid Prime sold more copies than Wind Waker did at the time.
Mhm.
So, which is saying something because Metroid doesn't
Did
sell
it?
anything. Yeah,
Crazy.
at the time, I don't know if that's true anymore, but that was I remember that was a big deal. But also, like, I think a lot of people were going into Metroid Prime thinking it was going to be Nintendo's version of Halo, and to an extent, it was, but it wasn't. So,
right.
especially
Also, I think we underestimate the impact it had secondhand,
mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
secondary market.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the Wii U version's actually, oh my gosh, that version is amazing. It's so.
I also
beautiful.
imagine that they outperformed the GameCube releases because,
Mhm.
or at least the Wind Waker might have, because I do feel like there was a strong negative reception to the Wind Waker when it first released that
Mhm.
maybe affected
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, could you imagine Wind Waker on that OLED screen? Oh,
Oof. Yeah.
crispy.
Yo, okay,
Do
so
we
I got
even
the.
wanna- do we even want to talk about the CDI Zelda games?
No.
No.
Oh,
Those
They
Lord.
need to be re-released. This
One,
is
go on.
this is not an
Anniversary.
issue. This is not an issue of just wanting Zelda. This is video games preservation. This is the most important issues of our times. We must have
It's
the
historic.
CDI games.
Excuse me, princess.
Yeah.
Jess speaks the truth. Let's just
And
put a pin in it.
but I have a feeling that that's a hotter take than the one you mentioned before. I have a feeling that there are people out there that'll be like,
Hands
nope, we don't need that.
Oh, come on. They can look.
Wholeheartedly,
we don't-
honestly, I agree with you. They should be released specifically for preservation purposes. But I could see a whole bunch of people being mad about that.
If we don't have the worst video games in history easily accessible, how will YouTube
How are
Let's
we going-
Players play them for laughs?
How are they going
We
to
need
get? How
to
are they
have
going to
them
get? How are
for
they going to get their
games
views?
done quick. We need to have them for that.
We need them.
Oh my gosh, those games, man. Look, what you could do, you could package all 3 of those games with the animated TV show, release it as one package. There you go. Like, you know, I mean, it's what would you call it?
Call it Zelda All Stars.
That's
Yes,
No.
yes.
Those games should not be part of any All Stars.
CDI All Stars.
No, it'd be like Zelda All Stars, but question mark at the end.
Nintendo's gonna put out like a CDI virtual
Nintendo-
console on the Switch and just have those 2 games on there, or whatever.
so
Nintendo's gonna have to go to Philips to get the license
Yeah.
for these.
I
Have to
mean,
go all the way to Philips. They're gonna be like, we went to Philips. We asked really nicely, could we have the license for the CDI games back?
Here's my email with Mr.
Phillips is like, we don't have them anymore.
yeah, we burned them. We didn't want anything to do with them. We'll pay you to take them back. That's
The cursed licenses. The curse of demise is upon the licenses.
oh no. Nintendo's like, we don't really want them back.
Nintendo releases
For some
the-
reason, Boss Rush podcast wanted them back.
Yeah. Hey, look,
So we did it.
well, I
We don't
probably
think
got
about consequences and actions.
probably-
Consequences of actions.
There's probably some change in my couch cushions that I can give Phillips for those, right? I mean, we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Look, all I know is there's a not insignificant portion of Zelda Universe staff members that would probably spend the entire length of this podcast having a CDI podcast.
For real, yeah.
I mean, that
People really do. There's definitely, like, real talk, there is a huge cult following for the CDI games. And
Oh, I'll
it has a huge place in meme culture. Like, yeah, I actually feel like are there even any other CDI games that people talk about in terms of even caring if they're ever around? Like,
I can't name
there's
one
definitely
CDI
something
game
special.
besides the
Hold
Zelda
on.
stuff.
There is a Mario one though, right? I think there's a Mario thing. Maybe.
Well, yeah, because it was like Mario is Missing, I think, was originally a CDI game that they ported to Super Nintendo. Hold on, I gotta look this up. Don't quote me on that. I'm not up on my Mario history, but I'm pretty sure
So-
that was.
I don't even remember what the original question is. We just started talking about CDI, and now we're
bad.
here.
um,
Was it which game needs to be brought back?
no, it was.
What
I
keeps
just
us
asked,
coming
is-
back? No.
Yeah,
All right,
what keeps
here,
us coming
I'm
back?
gonna list off. I'm gonna list off a bunch of Philips CDI games, and tell me if you've ever heard of any of them. Hotel Mario was the CDI Mario game.
Hotel
Right.
Mario.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that ugh. Zelda Wanted Gamelon, Link: The Faces of Evil, Zelda's Adventure, Hotel Mario. Here's where the good ones come in, guys. Okay, Burn Cycle. It has some dude on the front, some biker dude, looks like he's pretty constipated. Tetris.
I really just need you to describe all of the covers, all the cover art, and then have an generative AI recreate these video game covers from your descriptions.
That'd be pretty
They'll
cool.
all look
actually.
like God of War 3. No.
Hey, I like God of War 3. Dark Castle. I'm gonna paint a picture for you here.
We're just gonna call it video game.
It is a silhouette of a castle with
No.
clouds behind it.
That's a prequel to Resident Evil or something. Like,
I think it's how Dracula became Dracula in Castlevania.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a Castlevania storyboard or something.
Escape from Cyber City. I
These
can't
Again,
titles really are
Video
hits.
game.
such video. Yeah, it's such video game.
Super catchy.
I can't even tell you what's on the cover of this. The art is so bad I can't even tell you.
These are actually making the Zelda CDI games sound pretty good in comparison.
Yeah, I think
With
the
actual
only one that I wanna
creative
play.
effort put into them.
There is another Mario game, Super Wacky Worlds.
What?
And it's just a picture of Mario going like this on the cover.
What's so wacky about the
know.
worlds?
All right,
This is the reason they invented Wario.
Let's read the description on Wikipedia.
Wario was a tennis partner for Mario
so
in
this is
Mario's
actually
Wacky
canceled.
Worlds.
Oh my gosh.
Wario has never appeared in a Smash Brothers game.
God. What just happened? Okay, so it's using the Super Nintendo sprites. So Super Mario's Wacky Worlds was a canceled. Oh, never came out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Canceled
that was Super Mario World. That was the prototype for Super Mario World.
Wacky Worlds was a
sequel
canceled
to
Mario
Mario World.
platformer video game developed by Nova Logic for Philips CDI system. The game was conceived as a sequel to Super Mario World.
This is Mario Brothers 4. This is the secret. This is the project.
Whoa.
And then it just became Super Mario World. So you have played Mario's Wacky Worlds. It's just Super Mario World.
It's just Kaizo Mario.
It's the chocolate world, right? Like when the world flips over when you beat the game.
Oh yeah.
That's basically Crime Patrol. It's just like this fake police badge, but instead of police, it says Crime Patrol on it. Crime Patrol 2, Drug Wars.
Whoa.
Now I know what years these were released in.
Yeah, winners don't use drugs.
All right, this stuff's getting pretty weird here. Mystic Midway, Rest in Pieces. It's like a magic horror game.
Were they just coming up with video game titles via Mad Libs? Like, what's going on here?
I feel like there's a lot of cocaine involved in these games.
I honestly can't believe
that cocaine would make you more creative than this. Were they doing the bad stuff?
I don't know what they're doing.
Truly, the quality of the Zelda CDI games is actually off the charts, and this is not a joke.
Yeah, I mean, look, with a name like Space Ace, how could Philips CDI just fail like that?
Space Ace.
Space Ace.
Is this the Space Ace that is the same guys that did like the Dragon's Lair game?
I don't know, but Dragon Lairs 1, 2, and 3 are all on here, and so is Flashback.
I feel like the CDI had to have been conceived specifically to play Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, I'll vouch for Dragon's Lair, and if it's the Don Bluth company doing Space Ace, like I'll vouch for that too. And Flashback's really good. Flashback is really good.
All right, I'm gonna read. This is where we'll wrap up our Philips CDI talk here, guys. I know we could probably talk more about this really interesting topic that I'm sure everybody is thrilled about.
Very relevant.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the 3 Zelda game descriptions as told by Wikipedia, and then we're gonna move on. All right, so this is Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon, which I think is the most popular of the three. Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon is a video game developed by Animation Magic, who also developed the cartoon, and released for the Philips CDI in 1993 on the same day as Link: The Faces of Evil. Both games were a follow-up to Zelda's adventure in 1994. Yeah.
They came out on the same day?
Yeah.
What?
Oh man, they pulled a classic CDI move and released 2 sequels at the same time.
Yeah, classic CDI.
Classic sequel.
But they released them before the game that they were sequels to, which came out a year later?
Oh, did it say they came out before?
Yeah,
because they were both sequels to Zelda's Adventures, which came out in 1994.
Oh, I thought it said they came out after.
No, they came out. The 2
never mind.
Where Tarantino got his story structure idea.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Boy.
I won't talk about his problem with feet or misogyny, but
Lord.
Let's. Oh God. This. All right, we're ending it there. We're gonna move on, everybody.
You're welcome.
Ending the Tarantino talk early. All right. This also comes from MH Norris. She says, since the topic of hot takes was brought up, what is the most overrated and underrated Zelda in your opinion?
I think we kind of already did that.
Yeah, we kind of did this. Like Ocarina of Time, most overrated. Underrated though, I feel like that could be controversial, and I do think Skyward Sword is my most underrated. Like I feel like it gets a lot of heat. People just generally flat out refuse to play it a lot of times.
It's crazy though. I feel like when it came out, it got really good reviews. But then now people
it got 10s out of 10s from everywhere.
You got 10s everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah. You watch IGN's review and it's like they are. It sounds very similar to how they talk about Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. That it's incredible. And honestly,
same director.
I feel like they should stand by it.
Right.
It's so funny. You look at the director of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, right? And his trajectory through the Zelda series is the Oracle games, and then Minish Cap, and then Skyward Sword, and then Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That's that's such an incredible lineage of Zelda games. Like, you look at all those games, in my opinion, and Skyward Sword, in my opinion, is the worst one, and it's not even a bad game, right? It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the thing with Skyward Sword was, it's not a bad game. It's just, do you prefer motion controls or not?
Yeah.
At this point, you know.
Or and how linear do you like your Zelda?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I do think it is like there's basically no side anything. There's like one side quest for the whole game, like 3 maybe. Definitely like less than 20 side quests, maybe even less than 10. So it's just all story, which means that by and large, I think you can 100% Skyward Sword faster than most other 3D Zelda games. Like it's like 25-30 hours and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe for that reason, people should kind of just embrace it for what it is, that it's for as lengthy as the tutorial section is, it is actually kind of a rather condensed Zelda experience. And if you want that like as streamlined as Zelda can get, like this was when they were trying to figure out, they were really struggling to figure out the formula and figure out what would become Breath of the Wild. And it took them like, their answer was, let's keep streamlining things so that things are as least tedious as possible, so that things are as intuitive as possible. And that led them to create this very linear, but also, I think, very streamlined experience. And I think it has I think anyone who hasn't tried it should try it.
Yeah, I also think, like, you look at Skyward Sword and how kind of deliberate the combat is, and how every combat situation is could be considered its own little puzzle. And I think streamlining it probably made it less frustrating for people, because the combat was so integral to the game, and it took longer in some situations to fight enemies because they were almost puzzles, as opposed to something like Twilight Princess or Wind Waker or something, where you're just kind of mashing the A button and moving on, So that was probably a smart decision in the long run for that game.
I think a lot of the handheld stuff it's kind of underrated for me. I know that Phantom Hourglass has a problem with like repetition and doing the same crap over and over again, but I think it was really novel at the time, for me at least, using the touchscreen to like solve puzzles with the boomerang, and you're like mapping stuff out with your stylus. Obviously the sequel made a lot of good changes, but I think a lot of people don't talk about those. Same with Link Between Worlds. I know I got good reviews, but people don't really talk about it that much. Like, and it was such a good game. Like, I love the dungeons, I love the whole flat paper mechanic. Like, it was just a really solid game with really good dungeons, and I don't think people like discuss it that much.
Handheld games really do get like lumped into like this lesser than category. Like you've got console games, you've got like the handheld games. I think like if any of you guys have watched Jan Miseli's channel, where really great YouTube channel, look up Jan Miseli, spelled JANMISIL, Miseli, SA. You'll figure it out. Jan Miseli. He has a video where he asks how many Super Mario games are there, and there's a fair number of people who just don't count the handheld games. He like did a survey, and I do think that's like kind of true for, maybe not as true for the Zelda series because they're all just clearly canon, but I do think it's true that there's this split mentally where handheld games they don't get talked about because they're not important. They're handheld games.
They don't feel as grand to some people, or as epic as like the 3D Zelda games, I think. Yeah. Which is definitely it's not true, because they can totally feel epic in their own way, right? Like,
Yeah, I think the handheld games are pretty underrated. I think we've talked about Link's Awakening quite a bit on this. I think that game is pretty underrated, although I think some of the puzzles are pretty obtusely 90s, like especially like the trading puzzles are like, you got to make sure all the enemies are dead in this dungeon room to open the next door, because that's the only way you can open it, and some of the things like that. But overall, I think that game is super charming, and I'm glad that out of all the 2D games, that's the one that they remade first, I do wonder what the next step for 2D Zelda games is, though. Sometimes, just because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are so popular, like they're so popular, that I wonder if people are even wanting, the general audience is even wanting a 2D Zelda.
I would love the Oracle remakes because I never got to play those, so that would be cool.
I was going to say Oracle feels like they can really follow in the footsteps of the Link's Awakening remake, but also like they've got to release Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD first.
Yeah.
I know.
And then so they've got at least a couple more years before they have to put out a new 2D Zelda or 2D Zelda remake.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that those games are coming next year, just because I think Nintendo is looking towards their next console at this point, but they still want to suck as much life out of the Switch before that thing comes out.
They got to fill the gaps.
So those games are perfect gap fillers,
Yeah.
All right, our last question is: in a perfect world, which Zelda character would get their own spin-off?
Oh,
Spin-off.
We need the Zelda protagonist game. That's what we need.
Yeah.
I
really thought Zelda. I really thought Zelda
we already have Zelda's Adventure, the perfect game.
Yeah. You got to find his Philips CDI, Matt, and then you'll.
I'm talking about a game that people will actually play because it's on a console that's widely available.
Look,
people of culture.
Just leave me in my sewer to my studies, please. Thanks.
I mean, I actually thought Zelda was going to be playable in Tears of the Kingdom for a long time.
Me too.
I thought you were going to be able to swap between Link and Zelda, and they would be companions. But I was wrong, sadly. Rip.
Wasn't there talk of a female playable character like Linkle or whatever? Is that?
Linkle's in Hyrule Warriors.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. That's where that was. All right.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to play as Ganon. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you go.
No, I was gonna say I think it'll be cool to play as a villain, right? Like to play as Ganon or something as a prequel, and he's in the past, and he's sort of like maybe combating against a villain that's even bigger than him, And Link and Zelda aren't even in the picture at all. I think it'll be cool to have like a different combat style and see more of like
I'm just trying to save my world, and these two a-holes keep getting in my
exactly.
way.
Like, you guys can't be the villain, and this is my story, or something like that. And he has a different combat style, or he's younger, or something. I don't know if you guys have ever played Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, but I played that via like emulation. It's actually really fun. Like I don't think I beat it or played a lot of it, but I remember it being kind of enjoyable. So it'd be cool to get like a Tingle. I know Tingle's not even relevant anymore. Like he's not in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, right? So like most people don't even know who he is anymore.
I don't think he's in Tears of the Kingdom either. Yeah.
I think he's just like a wacky character. It'd be fun to get another spin-off with him or bring him back in some way. But I think Ganon will be a great game. Like that'd be awesome. Like a handheld, maybe a good top-down game or something. But
yeah, Ganon would be cool. Like almost like a Anakin Skywalker arc. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, so here's my pitch. And I need you all to just hear me out on this. Cass accordion rhythm game with Nintendo Labo.
Oh God!
Sold.
Labo.
Bringing back Labo.
Sold. I'm in.
Are you gonna make
two
a
Joy-Cons? You go like this.
Like, and
press the buttons to play. Make a keyboard.
That is the right kind of bullshit. Yeah, let's do this.
This is the bullshit. It's like.
Listen,
most underrated Zelda game is actually Link's crossbow training.
Oh man,
I would buy it.
I had to write the walkthrough for that game.
Oh God,
you know what? I'm not touching this.
This is too deep of a cut.
Oh man. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushMedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support. All right, well, I do want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom for a little bit. I know we've been going kind of long. I hope everybody's okay to talk for maybe like another 15 or so minutes, 20 minutes.
Totally.
Okay. I just, I want to respect everybody's time. So here's the deal. We're not spoiling any story points, but we are going to talk about our impressions. Maybe not, dungeon puzzle solving or anything, but I do kind of want to talk about the dungeons a little bit, because they are, the two I've done so far are pretty good. So
maybe we put like a little, or like say a warning before we're
talk
about dungeons.
There'll be a timestamp in here for the Tears of the Kingdom kind of talk. So if you really don't want to hear it, you can kind of back out. About an hour and 10 minutes, I'll write that down. So I think enough people have kind of heard from me over the last few days. So Jess, what are your impressions? You're our esteemed guest, so you can go first.
I think it makes Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo, frankly. Like, I think there were so many things about Breath of the Wild that felt like overly simplistic and basic, but you knew that they had to be that way because otherwise they'd never ship the game. So this is, their chance to finally go crazy. And I'm really happy that they had the courage to do so, because I think it would have been not necessarily easy, but I think like coming up with the truly inventive, clever ways to interact with the world based on the physics system, like coming up with more of those, I think is really difficult. And it also just goes to show, like, one of the powers, Ascend, was actually a developer cheat code. And that's how this stuff really happens. It isn't even from them just being so incredibly clever. I guess it is. It's them being clever enough to realize like what's actually fun, and that a lot of the spirit of what's great about this new type of Zelda is that it encourages you to cheese it and to break the game. So the more game breaking physics-based powers that exist, the more fun it is. And that's pretty much what you get with Tears of the Kingdom. And, besides that, I've mentioned multiple times during this podcast that I'm big on Zeldas with story. I was incredibly disappointed with Breath of the Wild in that department. And it really just left me feeling empty at the end of it, that I had just like done a bunch of all these shrines and I'd spent hundreds of hours, really not for any particularly good reason. And I always felt that it was just awkward from a world building point of view, that Link is running around doing all this other stuff, not actually like saving the kingdom. And it's just kind of weird. Like, I do think there is still a very strong element of that in Tears of the Kingdom. And it is kind of equally off-putting, if I won't lie. Like, a lot of characters still seem to have no idea what's going on, or some characters, like, opinions about things or what they recognize in the world just completely conflict with each other, and it's very strange. It's very weird. But besides like those like minor delivery gripes, this is it. This is the one. I really feel like they took every criticism to heart in a way that, I think even the jump between previous 3D Zelda games, like from Wind Waker to Twilight Princess to Skyward Sword, even when they were previously really trying to reinvent the formula or innovate, were modestly successful at best. But between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they've just continued to have the spirit of throw out what doesn't work. Just throw it out and start with something really fresh. So the difference between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is much larger than, even Twilight Princess to Skyward Sword. They're really different games, and they're different because all the rules are different, and it was really brave of them to just remove all of the rules from Breath of the Wild and replace them with new rules.
What about you, Greysun?
Yeah, I mean, like when Breath of the Wild came out, right, that ended up being not only my favorite Zelda game ever, but my favorite game of all time, probably, I would say. And after playing, like, I think I have like 30 something hours, not quite as close as 80 hours as Jess, but this has immediately surpassed Breath of the Wild for me, like 3 times fold. Like, it's incredible, just the sheer variety of gameplay, where like not only am I exploring a Hyrule that's familiar, but it also feels just so different and like a remix of Breath of the Wild. Where I'm walking around and nothing is like the same to me. Like, everything feels brand new. It feels like I'm playing a totally brand new game. The fact that I can explore Hyrule, complete some shrines, but also go explore the depths, which is just like so much more in depth than I thought it would be, and then also explore these sky
In depth.
islands. Yeah, right. Like, it's this, and then explore the sky islands and having these like Zonai devices to build to get you to places. Every 5 minutes while I'm playing this game, I'm like, how the heck is this running on this 7-year-old or 6-year-old console? Because it's just like, it's
barely.
it's crazy. Like, using Ascend and stuff. Like, every time I use Ascend, I'm like, this is wild. Like, the fact that we can like just zip through canyons or underground, you could just like zip through and get out of any situation, using it in shrines, using it in any, to go through enemies, to go through devices that you built. The TikToks I've seen of people building these creations. Like, I'm not someone who's big into like creating things in games. So honestly, like, traversing the sky islands is probably like my least favorite part, because they usually involve you building some sort of flying contraption to go to like different areas. So I'm not like a huge, like, I see like the stuff they give me to build, I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this, and I build like the most basic thing that I can make to get past this. But it's still really rewarding when I can get like those glider wing and get two fans on it and wheels, and I can fly across. It never gets old, honestly. And I just can't believe what they've been able to do. Like, the fact that people have said this feels like they thought it was DLC. Like, it's definitely not DLC. Like, this is a entirely brand new experience. And for anyone that's played Breath of the Wild and has been like hesitant on picking this up, it's like, you need to play this game, because so far it's just like has surpassed my expectations. And I think I've only seen like 3 of the major memories, like the cutscenes that you get, and they've been really compelling. And Nintendo has like, this is the most cinematic like Nintendo game ever, right? Like, with the script, with the cinematography, like, it's crazy to me. And I cannot wait to see the rest of the stories. I've been way more intrigued in discovering these memories than I was in Breath of the Wild. Like Jess was saying, it did feel a little disappointing at times and a little disjointed, especially the final boss. I felt it was kind of disappointing for me in Breath of the Wild. I don't know how the ending of this game is going to end up, but I think it's going to be way better than Breath of the Wild.
That's what I'm like. So this is why currently, like, I just have to say, like, the jury is still out for me, because it's the sticking the landing. And so far, I have most of the story cutscenes, but just not the ending. And they're either gonna really nail this and it's gonna be incredible, or they're gonna do what they do every Zelda game and just leave it open. And I'm gonna be really sad. I'm gonna be really upset in that case.
I've been split on whether I like the idea that you get the memories in different orders, based on where you go, because it kind of annoys me where I'm like, I don't have the first memory still, but I have like 3, 8, 12. I'm like, well, I want to know like how it starts. But I think it does a good job of sort of not telling you everything that's going on. You're just getting like these little pieces, and I'm like, okay, if I'm trying to figuring it out myself.
And they did a clever job also of making sure that, or not making sure, but positioning the memories so that you get them in a roughly chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's way harder to get like the later scene memories. They're just more difficult to access parts of the map.
Like more difficult areas, like I guess you would say.
Yeah, like areas that are not along the main regular story beat paths. Like you're either at that point you're probably actively seeking them out. Because you're not going to like accidentally come across like the very last one or something. Like, you won't.
Yeah. There's not much else to say. Like, every time I sit down to play, I just want to keep playing, right? Like, and like, I just get distracted so easily. Like what Matthew was saying, like I go towards a glyph, or I go towards a shrine, or I go towards this quest point, but I always end up going somewhere else. Like, I find a sky tower, or I find a Korok seed, or I find another side quest, or I find a hole to go into the depths. I'm like, I gotta check this out to see if I can unlock one of the waypoints down there, and then you end up somewhere else, and it's just like blows my mind. And then that's not even talking about the dungeons themselves, and it's crazy. Like, I plan on spending, like, I think I only spent like maybe 80 hours in Breath of the Wild, and I got like every shrine. This game is like, I want to do everything, man. Like, I want to do every single thing. I don't know about the Koroks, but I want to do every shrine and like most side quests.
I
maybe.
think
The
people
Koroks
want
are
to do. I think
annoying,
people want to do things
honestly.
to the Koroks, like crucify
Oh yeah,
them.
they want to do things to them and not actually save them. The Korok
Korok
missions.
torture is one of the darkest funny things that I've seen in a while.
It's so funny.
It showed up on my YouTube feed, and I thought it was like just a really weird one-off thing where I'm like, what am I look like? It's an actual crucifixion? Like, this is just this one
like
weird video,
trend.
right? No, and it was a whole trend, and it still is. And
yeah, my TikTok is full of crucifixion videos and people like murdering, sending the Koroks with rockets to space. It's like so funny. But I actually don't like the Korok missions. So every time I see a Korok that needs every time I see a Korok that needs to defend, I haven't been doing them at all because I'm like, I don't feel like looking for them and building stuff and figuring this out. Maybe later on. But yeah,
you and I see like I don't like building stuff either. Have you found auto build?
I have not gotten it yet. No,
neither have I.
That's the key. That's the only thing that makes Ultra Hand tolerable.
I'm so lazy.
To people like
I'm not.
us.
I'm not like super creative when it comes to stuff like that. Like, so I like that it's there, and I like watching other people make stuff. But I'm like, I'm never gonna build anything. I'm like, I'm doing the basic, the bare minimum to get past these things.
I just want Nintendo to let us share our auto builds online.
Oh,
so
that'd be cool.
Like, someone can just send me their design
like a
for
Mario
Gundam
Maker
mech.
style.
Yeah, like,
well, it better be better than Mario Maker. Let's be honest.
A little bit, yeah.
Mario Maker 1 was fine.
Yeah,
Mario Maker 2 bad.
Yeah,
we're way past Mario Maker with this Zelda game, and we're all the way to Fortnite level here.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, but
I mean,
game
they
is
made a
good.
giant graham cracker with a flaming penis explode. I mean, I don't know where else. That's so not in Mario Maker.
I mean, it could have been. I mean, we just didn't we were like seeking those levels out. You know,
we didn't know we wanted it till now.
Now we do.
It's fair, I guess.
Yeah, game is good. Probably my game of the
The
year.
market data is in.
Yeah. Matt, what about you? How are you feeling about it?
So okay. This is doing a lot of the same things that Breath of the Wild did for me, of course. Getting lost, exploring worlds, a lot of fun. I feel like overall this is a response to how people acted with the powers in Breath of the Wild. And I like the responses that they've done. The building, the ascend. I think those are cool, and the pretty much limitless possibilities that are there are wild and fascinating. If any of you read pastemagazine.com, Grace Brenfell recently wrote a piece about how the lore is behind pixel hunting rather than trying to, like in Breath of the Wild, the lore you got was through finding places through photos. So like you go to a photo and you have to figure out where that was, and then that unlocks the memory. I feel like that's another variation on pixel hunting, but there's something more. There was something oddly tangible about that compared to going to the glyphs and looking for where the dragon tear is. Now I've only done that once, but it's enough to like, I'm like, I kind of like the other way. So I agree with her there. I haven't been to the depths. I haven't spent near as much time in the sky as I probably should have, because frankly, the ground is so fascinating right now. But I'll get there. I think the way that Breath of the Wild hit me is stronger than how Tears. I mean, I feel like Tears of the Kingdom is building upon a very, very good thing. And likely, I mean, as of right now, it's definitely a front runner for 2023 Game of the Year for me. But I still think that I still think Breath of the Wild will end up in my top 10 games of all time. Whereas I don't think Tears of the Kingdom, as of right now, I don't think Tears of the Kingdom would supplant it. But all that said, this game is special. And just because it doesn't end up on someone's favorite games of all time list doesn't mean you shouldn't play it, because if that's only a 10 game list, there are magnitudes of games you are missing out on if you only look at those 10 games. Tears of the Kingdom is wonderful, and I do love playing it, and I will play it for a very long time. Part of me is hoping for the golden turd of Koroks at the end of it, but I don't know. I don't know. I
still got my first one.
Do you want the
Good one.
spoiler?
Wait, what? But I don't think I have it in me to do it this time. I really don't.
Yes, you do.
That's why people are torturing the Koroks, because they know how many are in here. They know what's going on.
How many are there?
Do you actually want?
I actually want to know.
It's 1,000.
Yes.
But what people don't break
So it was
down
1,000
is why.
the first one, right?
No, it was 900. But it is still 900 quests in Tears of the Kingdom, but 100 of them are the 2 Korok seed pair.
You got to find their friend, and they.
So that's how it ends up being 1,000. But it is still 900 like individual quests.
Okay.
That's a lot.
I'll let you guys know in about a year when I find them all.
I've never found all of the. Like I also do feel like it's obviously intentionally designed for you never to find all the shrines,
Sure,
light roots, Koroks, like, and there's like, that's one of the things I love about the design is how they're intentionally spaced apart at like regular intervals that are close to each other to get you to explore in a meandering path, but also to miss a bunch of stuff and and for that not to matter, like. So yeah, I've never completed all the Koroks. I probably never will, and I definitely probably won't with Tears of the Kingdom as well.
Yeah, I went on that Korok quest for Breath of the Wild, and I completed it. I'm not sure if I should be proud of that or embarrassed, but here we are.
When I found out what was at the end of it, I respected that enough to do it. Like I appreciate that. I'm like, okay.
I didn't bother upgrading my armor.
If the reward is a golden poop, will you do it again?
Yeah. I hope Nintendo sends me a physical one, and I'll put it on my shelf.
That is, by the way, that is an actual thing in Japan.
I know.
Getting a golden poo. You could buy one and have it shipped from Japan, a golden poo.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better if, like,
why do I want this now?
Miyamoto just mailed me one? Wouldn't that make it so much better than just buying one and saying, I guess this is a reward?
Yeah, you know? Miyamoto signs it.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting every Korok seed.
Yeah. Thank you for having no life.
This just turns into that website. Have any of you heard of the website dicksbymail.com?
No.
Where you can
thankfully no.
You can it's not near as bad as you think. It's not near as bad as you think, but you can anonymously yeah, I know. But you can anonymously send a bag of gummy penises to somebody, and it just says "eat a bag of dicks."
Okay, that's funny. That's really funny.
But they also sell.
Can I mail that? Can I mail that to myself? Like I've done it, and it's good.
That's really funny.
But they also sell poo that's made of chocolate, so you can send someone a chocolate turd and tell them to eat shit.
I mean, that's pretty good.
There's also
sounds like a solid service that they're offering.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. It's fine, but I feel like I would rather I can't tell which one I'd rather do at this point: the golden poo or the chocolate one.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, Tears. LeRon, are you ever gonna mess around with this game? Are you ever gonna play it?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it, but yeah, I don't actively have it right now, and technically, I still need to beat Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you know?
Have you? So just from the this might be an interesting way to kind of wrap this up. What is your view of the game from the outside looking in? Are you feeling anything tingly
It's
inside? Are you trying to like?
it's a fascinating game. Like I don't get the shock and awe that everybody has. Like, and I guess it's because I missed the Breath of the Wild train. I'm one of those people that like if I don't buy a Nintendo Switch game when it first releases, like it takes me forever to buy it because like the game stayed the same price like no matter what. So it's like why am I even going to run to buy this game? Like I got Breath of the Wild like 3 years after it was out because like Best Buy had lost their damn mind and slashed the price to $30, on a weekend. And I was like, I better get this game, and I told some friends about it and they were pissed at me on Monday when they walk in the store. I was like, hey, that game was $60. Like I was sucks to be you, stuff like that. But yeah, I it looks fascinating. All the stuff I've seen all the stuff I've seen about it and all the stuff. I especially love all the memes and all that stuff that I've seen online and things like that. I definitely know it's a Zelda game I'm going to play. It's just like Breath of the Wild is a Zelda game I'm going to play. So I plan to play both of them in some sort of order, just because like I feel like I need to have the experience and things like that. So yes, it's on my list. I just don't. I have no idea. We'll probably have a new Nintendo Switch with the first with the first Legend of Zelda game coming out for that new system by the time I've actually even like started Breath of the Wild. But it is what it is.
I wouldn't hold your breath. Every. By the way, I have to say that everyone's like Nintendo console right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's just not like
My thing is that it's spring 20 like March 2025 at the earliest is my
I agree with that.
Yeah,
is my
that
thought.
sounds fair. That sounds right.
yeah.
8 years after
Yeah.
Switch.
They did say they wanted it to be a 10-year console, and like if you look at the way the 3DS lasted after the Switch came out, it was about a year and a half until Nintendo cut it off, right? So
They could definitely go for 10 years on this. And
Mhm.
and for what it's worth, I also don't think the Switch is underpowered. I think it's still a miracle device. Like it runs AAA games. Like even the iPad still can't do that. Like and that has a huge battery and great graphics, but it still can't really do what the Switch does. Like the Switch is a miracle. No one has a device like the Switch even now. Like anyone who's saying like oh, it's old compared to what? Like a box that doesn't move from in front of the TV, sure, but like maybe the Steam Deck, but not even that really. Like Steam Deck runs in 1080p too.
yeah, I think the thing too is like Nintendo. I'm gonna exclude Pokemon from this conversation because I know this is the first thing that everybody throws at, but like nobody knows their own device like Nintendo knows their own device, right? Like, and they can make. I mean, they can make any game look amazing on this console, right? Like you look at Metroid Prime Remastered, you look at Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8,
Even just
Mario
going back to
Odyssey.
Odyssey is
Mario Kart 8,
Yeah.
like one of the most beautiful games ever, and it was for Wii U.
Yeah, and like even and I again, and I know PC gamers are gonna roll their eyes, but like I played through the entirety of Doom 2016 and Wolfenstein 2 on the Switch without any problems. And they like Panic Button, who did the ports for those games, did a masterful job of like getting those games to run. And like Doom Eternal's still on there and it runs relatively well. Like it runs like Doom 2016 did on the console, right? So
Matt, you saw me roll my eyes, right?
Yeah,
I was ignoring that. And I get that the the PC version or the Xbox Series X version of those games are like the ideal way to play those, right? 120 frames a second, 4K, super textures, right? But like if you're traveling and the Switch is all you have and you're like, oh, I want to play Doom, like it's not the worst version of that game, right? It's still pretty fun.
Mhm.
Granted, I played through those games when Nintendo Power Block was kind of the only thing I was doing at the time, but like still, it was those games are cool technical wonders. And The Witcher 3 also on this thing is like, yeah, you throw The Witcher 3 up on a TV, that thing's ugly, but if you want to take The Witcher 3 on the Switch portable is like I can't believe that thing is running on that console. It just can't. So, but then you get stuff like Pokemon or that it's just like, oh my gosh, what
That's
are you doing?
Game Freak. Like
I know.
no one's the Game Freak hasn't known what they're doing since the 3DS. Maybe even before that, honestly.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm really wondering because like Hogwarts Legacy just got delayed on the Switch again, and I'm like, man, that game was struggling on modern consoles. How's it gonna what is gonna happen? This game's just gonna fall apart. Hope you guys have fire extinguishers if you're planning on playing that on Switch, because it's like, oh boy. But Nintendo knows their hardware, and I think Tears of the Kingdom just proves it, right? Like all the things you can do in that game, how expansive the world is, the verticality of that world.
The fact that you can jump from a sky island to the depths in one go without the game like breaking,
without a cutscene.
It's insane. Like the frame rate drops a little bit here and there, but it's really like not that noticeable. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I good on Nintendo, man, because like that article came out a couple days ago where like it was basically done a year ago, but they delayed it a year to polish it to make sure everything worked correctly. And I said this about Ravenlock on Game Pass, where like the games that have been coming out on these consoles, right? Like Redfall and then Jedi's Survivor, Crashing, not finished or seemingly unfinished or
every Bethesda title for the past 20 years, like.
And then I turned on Ravenlock, which is like, granted, not the size of those games, but Coco Cucumber did a great job of like, hey, guess what? I turned the game on and it didn't crash. It worked. Nothing was broken. And I played through the whole game in a weekend, and it was super fun. Highly recommended, by the way, if you have Game Pass, because it's an Xbox exclusive, although I see it coming to Switch at some point. That'd be a great Switch game. It's like a Zelda light game based on Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of cool. But yeah, and then I look at Tears of the Kingdom and pretty much any Nintendo game really, and like, man, they really push the quality bar high, So, anybody else?
I wonder if it's also like a big waste of money to need to like patch and support these games for so long after they're supposed to be released. It must be more expensive than just testing it internally and having it be bug free when it goes out.
Yeah, I know a lot of like when games go through certification, the day one patch is like the free patch that the companies offer them, but then like every patch after that costs them a certain amount of money. And like you said, like if you're patching a game 5, 6, 7, 8 times within the first month or whatever, like you might as well just delay it and test it internally, like I don't know, I feel like
because those are also months you're and those are months that your developers aren't working on the next game, like so you're still dedicating that time to the game anyway.
And like I get in certain situations, like obviously EA is this massive company has a ton of investors, right? They're a publicly traded company. Star Wars is a Disney IP. Disney, I'm sure, granted, they have good people working for Disney Interactive and they have people in place that know games, but still, like, Disney wants this game to come out. And so you probably have the mouse breathing down your neck to get this game out, and like, and then you're just gonna have to suck it up to patch the game. But like, if you would have just delayed that game like 6 months and put it out in September or October, right? Like it could have been so much a cleaner launch. And granted, I know a lot of people love the game, and a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't bother me, but like I tried to play it on Xbox. It crashed on me 3 times, and I uninstalled it. I'm like, I'll play it when it's fixed. Like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't have time. I have 2 kids. I'm trying to spend time with my wife. I have a full-time job. I'm trying to run this podcast network and do things. Like I don't have time. What little time I have, I don't have time for a game to crash on me 3 times in 2 days to like muscle through it, right? I'm gonna move on to the next game, and sadly, Star Wars was that game right now. So
It's supposed to be like shiny new consoles that we have too, and it's like
I
games
know.
aren't running like they should.
There's still no, like, in my opinion, there's still no reason really to own an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 except to make the games run better or cleaner or higher res, right? Like
Yeah.
the games that I want to play, like
cut down the PS4 load times. Is what that's all they
yeah,
do.
well, I'm saying like, okay, higher frame rate, 4K, load times, that's all great, but like you can technically play Horizon Forbidden West on a PS4. You can
Mhm.
play Halo Infinite and Destiny
Yeah.
on an Xbox One, right? I bought my Xbox Series X to play Destiny at 60 frames a second. That's the only reason why I bought the console, right? And so because I'm a snob and I have to, when new shiny toys come out, I have to go buy them. And then my wife will yell at me and I'll be like, haha, look at this. It's pretty. She's like, I don't understand why you play video games. I'm like, haha, I don't care. It's fine. I love my wife. She gets it. Sometimes.
Be in the room with you now. I'm just kidding.
I know. Blink twice if you need
Yeah,
help.
but behind the curtain.
Do you feel safe at home?
Help
Corey?
me. Help me. But any final thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom before we kind of wrap this episode?
I have one last thought that I was thinking that like LeRon shared, that his experience with like or not LeRon, sorry, Matthew, where
Yeah.
your experience of like wanting to seek out Breath of the Wild again. And one thing that I've really noticed is that a lot of like people's interest in fandom, like that's the kind of the story of a lot of Zelda games, like
Sure.
like Ocarina of Time, and then people wanting to recapture Ocarina of Time, but then the Zelda team does something like fresh and different, or
Mhm.
but it's the same time every time. Like people become huge fans of the original Legend of Zelda.
Sure.
Nintendo goes and does something different. Then people become fans of that, and then they do something different again. And I think like it's cool to see that being Zelda's kind of enduring tradition, is every single game is unique in its own way, and the one that you love the most, I think, really is the one that you played the first, because
yeah.
they're all these like really innovative different experiences. And Tears of the Kingdom doesn't change that at all, which is what makes it such a great and special experience, because these only happen every 6 years now. They used to happen more often, and now they happen less often because they're so big. So we should enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 100% agree. Well, I think we did it. I think we successfully navigated this episode to its end. Matt, Greysun, Jess, thank you so much for your time tonight. Jess, where can we find you on the internet?
Yes, of course. Of course, you can find me at Zelda Universe, but you can also find me on my personal social media profiles at Golden Chaos, or Jess Rappaport on Twitch. And yeah, once again, I'm the owner of Zelda Universe, and I was really happy to be here.
Yeah, it was really great to have you. This was a great episode. Greysun, where can we find you?
Yeah, people can find me on Twitter. Pretty much is what I use the most. At Greysun Morales, just my first name and my last name. And then you can find my work over at GameRant.com. I'm the lead guides editor over there, so I have my hands deep in To the Kingdom coverage right now. So if anyone needs any walkthroughs for quests or any hard shrines, we have over like 300 guides published so far since launch, and publishing a lot more. So yeah, I'm very proud of the work that we've been putting out. So if anyone needs any help, we have it there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Matt?
I've used the GameRant guides quite a bit into some of the shrines, Tears of Kingdom. So thank you, Greysun. You can find me on co-host, cohost.org/infinite-rewind. I still have my Twitter, infinite_rewind, and you can find me hosting a couple of podcasts. One is called Trivial Merit, where my friend Caroline and I make playlists to get us and hopefully you from a negative headspace to a positive one, and the other one is called Freewheeling It, where my buddy Jesse and I talk about movies.
Nice. Of course, you can find me and LeRon here every Monday on the Boss Rush podcast. You can check out bossrush.net for all of our content. Check out our family of podcasts. You can get this show 1 week early and other perks on Patreon for just $1 a month. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. You can follow us on social media at Boss Rush Network, at Boss Rush Podcast. And thanks so much for watching. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
So long.
Peace.
The Boss Rush Podcast is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. This show is produced, written, and directed by me, Corey Dirrig. My co-hosts are Stephanie Klimov, LeRon Dawkins, and Edward Varnell. You can find Stephanie at Klimov_author on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on the EXPcast. You can find LeRon at Exodus803 on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and also on Crossroads, the video game podcast. You can find Edward at ThatRetroCode on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting Nintendo Power Block. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamCoreyInHD, and find me hosting Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and co-hosting Nintendo Power Block. Find the Boss Rush Podcast on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.